Greetings, Patriots. We are going to review one-step equations, and we're going to include integers in this lesson. Please take the opportunity to look at your guided notes, set up your problems. You can write your problems and use your guided notes to help you with that. We will either be given a picture, right, or we will be given a situation or just a regular equation, and we will practice solving. Our objective is I will solve one-step equations given a situation or a picture. So let's take this first equation, okay? And as we think about this, I want you to think about your inverse operation. So if I think of adding and subtracting, right, those are inverse operations of each other. One undoes the other, right? And so division and multiplication also go together. So if I look at an equation here, I know that there's some number z that if I subtract 5 from it, it's going to equal 7. And I know that you guys can figure that out by just trial and error, right? So if I think about this, z minus 5 equals 7. Well, I see that I'm subtracting some number. So in order for me to find what I'm gonna have to do, is the inverse of that, which means I'm just gonna add 5 to both sides. Because really, I'm gonna have to add 7 and 5 to figure out what's missing, right? So if I add 5 to both sides, what I do to one side, I have to do to the other because I need to keep this balance, okay? So minus 5 and plus 5, I don't know if you remember your integers from last year, but I'm just going to kind of recap at the same time. If you have negative 5 and positive 5, this forms a zero pair. So that cancels pretty much themselves out. So I end up with that number that I'm looking for on the left side, which is z, some number. 7 plus 5 is 12. So that means that if I check my solution, that in place of z, I'm going to put 12, take away 5. And it says that that should equal 7. Well, I know if I have 12 and take away 5, I'm going to get 7. So does 7 equal 7? I'm going to say yes. So the solution of 12 makes this equation true. That means I solved it correctly. So the first step is to add 5 to both sides. That will help me solve for my missing value. Add 5 to both sides of the equation. That cancels that out and gives me my answer. Okay, go ahead and check out this situation. We've already been writing equations and using equations to solve. We're kind of just revisiting this process of solving an equation. So let's look at this situation. Juan is selling, right? If I look at Juan, he's selling raffle tickets at a charity event. Okay, well, I guess they're raising money. And every ticket is $6 each. So you're being asked to find how many tickets does he have to sell in order to make $114. Well, I do know that every ticket is $6 each, but I need to figure out how many tickets he bought, right? Or that he sold, to make $114. So tickets is my unknown. And all they've told me is that they're $6 each. Remember that unit rate and constant rate of change that we've been talking about? So 6 times the number of tickets, right? X represents the number of tickets equals 114. Well, in order to figure out how many tickets he has to sell to make $114, that's simple. I'm just going to divide because 6 times some number of tickets will equal 114. So right here, I'm not going to multiply. I'm going to do the inverse of that, and I'm going to divide by 6 in order to figure that out. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. So I'm left with the number of tickets is equal to, so I would have to take 114 and divide that by 6, and that would give me 19 tickets. Okay, now you could take 114, divide that by 6, right? Oops, sorry. That would be 54, and that would give you 9. So can I check my solution? Of course you can, because 6 times 19 should equal 114. We'll multiply that. 19 times 6. Well, I know that 9 times 6 is 54, right? That's a 6, and that's 11. So therefore, 114 does equal 114. That means my solution of 19 tickets makes my equation true. It's a true solution. So the first step that I really needed to do here is actually write my equation, right? But to solve, I needed to divide by 6 on both sides in order to figure out the total number of tickets sold. Okay, let's go ahead and try another equation given a... Okay, Melanie works as a nanny, and she is being paid $14 per hour. There's that unit rate again. If she puts 40 hours of work in a 7-day in a week, how much money is she going to earn in that week, right? So we know that she's going to work 40 hours. And all we know is that she is making $14 per hour, right? So we need to figure out how much a total amount of money, right, that she's going to make earning $14 an hour. They already told you how many hours she's going to work. So that means that some certain amount of money, right, that she earned, when I divide it by 14, that equals those 40 hours. So, right, all I got to do is the inverse. If I'm dividing by 14 here, I'm going to multiply by 14 on both sides in order to figure out how much money was earned at $14 every single hour. So 40 times 14, right, if I multiply that, is going to give me $560. So $560 divided by 14, that equals those 40 hours. That's how much she earned. You can take 560, and divide that by 14, and that should equal your 40. And when you actually divide it, it does. 40 equals 40. So first, of course, I had to write my equation, and then in order to solve it, I had to multiply, do the inverse, right, of division, and I had to multiply by 14 on both sides of my equation in order to get the total amount of money that she earned, okay, that equaled to those 40 hours that she worked. All right, let's go to our next problem. So here I'm giving you some tiles, a picture, and if it's a little hard to see, this is actually an X. So I know that I have 2 times X. 2 times some number is equal to these are negatives. It's a little difficult to see, but I have -6 on that side. So 2 times some number, 2x, equals -6. All right. Well, 2 times a number equals -6. I know all I have to do is divide by 2, right? Because I'm not going to multiply. I'm going to do the inverse of that. I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. And if I take a negative and divide it by a positive, remember, you're going to get a negative answer. So these 3 negatives would be equal to one of those x's. And if I divided those evenly, each one would be worth 3, -3. So x is definitely equal to -3. If I check my 2 times -3, I should get -6. And when I multiply that, I do. I have 2 groups of -3, so that means -6 equals -6. So the step that I had to take was to divide by 2 on both sides in order to figure out what 1x was equal to. Okay? All right, so now we want you to try. okay? Take the time, look at your x, right? Look at your equation, set it up, check your solution, and solve. All right, so now let's go ahead and write our equation. This says that x plus 3, I have 3 ones there, equals, let me see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. X plus 3 equals 10. Okay, so that means some number plus 3 equals 10. Well, I know we can figure what that is, right? 7 plus 3 equals 10. But if I'm just practicing a process, right, here's another one-step equation. The opposite of addition is to subtract by 3 on both sides. So technically, I'm just subtracting 3 from 10. That gives me my 0 pairs, and x is equal to 7. Can I check my solution of 7? Yes, 7 plus 3 is 10, and does that equal 10? Does 10 equal 10? I'm going to say yes, the solution of 7 makes that equation true. So the first step that I did was subtract 3 on both sides, and that's how I found my solution. Okay, now try the following, okay? Write it down, set it up, and let's follow the same steps. Welcome back. So if I look at x minus 12 equals a negative 7, I'm just going to, hopefully we're remembering our integer rules. So if I'm subtracting 12, now I'm going to do the opposite of that and add 12 to both sides. I want to know what x equals. What number does it equal? So if I add 12 on this side and I add 12 on this side, x, this forms 0 pairs, right? Because remember, when I have positive and negatives, I have 0 pairs. Here I have a negative 7 and a positive 12. So remember your integer rules, right? If I have negatives and positives, I'm going to form some 0 pairs. So I'm just going to draw this out just to hopefully help us remember. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 positives. And let me see how many negatives Miss King put here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops, I should only have 7. Okay, so again, a negative and a positive form a 0 pair. So I must make sure that I understand that's 6 0 pairs, 7 0 pairs. So in essence, I'm really subtracting here because I have opposite signs. So negative 7 plus 12 leaves me with a positive 5. And that is my answer. So let's, if we were to check 5 minus 12, that would equal negative 7. Because yes, I would subtract those and end up with a negative 7. And negative 7 equals negative 7, okay? So the first step was to add 12 to both sides. Hopefully this is helping you remember your integer rules from last year. But I'm just simply solving for that missing value and figuring out what that unknown is by using inverse operations to help me solve, okay? All right, one more. 2 times a number equals negative 8. All right, so if I have 2 times a number equal negative 8, right? I'm not going to multiply. I'm going to divide by that 2 in order to figure out what that number is. And negative 8 divided by 2. So remember, a negative divided by a positive gives you a negative answer. So x equals negative 4. 2 times negative 4, if I check my solution, should equal negative 8. And negative 8 is the product of 2 times negative 4. So therefore, the negative 4 makes the solution true. The solution makes the equation true, and that's my answer. So the first step was to divide by 2. Remember, I'm always solving for x. That's my goal to get a loan. All right? And I divide by 2 on both sides. Okay. So hopefully This helped you just kind of practice solving one-step equations again. Like I said, we've been writing them in the past several lessons. Now it's just practicing solving for the unknown. So, have a great day, Patriots.